Asher and Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Diamonds and gold and some precious stones, repairing all their making bones. Resignate at the king frequency. Electrifying, death-defying. If I'm too much, try someone less.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio. And I'm here with our next guest who has some killer new music. So let's welcome to the show Tony West from Blacklist Union. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And so I love this new single you got, Up in Smoke, and the video is pretty killer. So tell us a little bit about, your creative ideas of making this video.
I mean, the song's about pretty much trying to stay in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And which is not a hard thing to do. I tell my kids, I'm like, it's called the present because if you can actually stay in it, it's a gift, And look at kids. Like kids are in the moment all the time. Like they don't have worries about, how am I going to pay this or what happened yesterday and stuff. You know what I mean? And we were all kids once, and we all have that. So that's kind of what that song's about. And so many songs I've written about this hideous relationship thing I went through and all that. And that's partly influenced by that. But a lot of the songs, I don't know if you know, but like been to the jungle a bunch of times with the Shipibo Indians and the Amazon and Peru. And so a lot of these songs are inspired by those journeys and that, spiritual aspect of life.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about those journeys because they were as far as I know, a big part of healing a lot of your past to be able to be in the present. And so I want to hear about your journeys with it because, everybody has a different journey and I'm always curious, what happens.
I had a gnarly, childhood. I grew up in New York and all that and came to LA as a teenager and like teenage runaway basically. And, I went through a lot of things and I lost a lot of people, man. Like my girlfriend was killed in a car accident on the road and my first wife died. And then the Back to Momo record, the fourth record I wrote with Todd Youth, who, I knew him since I was 15 and he was my good friend. And Todd did many things. He played with Danzig. He played everyone from Glenn Danzig to Glenn Campbell, but, and he died. And when he died, October 27, 2018, I was like, man, I can't let this ruin my life because, my wife's death and my girlfriend's death, like that shit ruined. But it destroyed my life. I let it destroy my life. And, drinking and using behind that kind of shit doesn't really help either. But anyway, when Todd died, I had learned through a friend about ayahuasca and I started researching it hardcore. And I found the grand poobahs, so to speak, of who does this. And it's the Shipibo Indians in the Amazon jungle in Peru. So, that's was the beginning of the deep, deep spiritual healing. And that stuff, for the most part sober. And when I went there, I kept telling the Indians, I'm like, yo, I can't do drugs. Like, I don't do drugs. And they're like, this isn't drugs, Tony. This is medicina, because they couldn't speak any English. And I was like, okay. And they were right. And, there's people who say, oh, I've done mushrooms or I've done this and I've done that. And ayahuasca you cannot compare it to anything. It truly, truly, truly is medicine. And it truly does take you to those other realms, these spiritual realms that we all know about, although we just forgot about because we've been here so long and all that stuff. And so I was able to let go of so much sorrow. First of all, I had so much sorrow. I knew I had sorrow, but man, it was deep-seated sorrow. And like my first intention, I remember you have to have an intention every time you go do a ceremony. And my first one was to see all my people that are no longer here on this realm. And Man, I saw all of them plus more, you know.
Wow.
But the inspiration and the healing and all of that stuff is just so deeply profound and beautiful. And you know, the Letters from the Psych Ward record is all about that, and so is this new one coming out, Slay the Dragon. You know, it's all about that deep shit, you know.
That's pretty cool, man, because I know a lot of people. There's another band, and my mind's drawing a blank right now because I'm sure you know, we're doing
Yeah.
this interview now, and Ozzy just passed. You know, which is
That's just unbelievable. You know, Ozzy is one of the people that saved my life as a kid. I was just telling, you know, our my assistant here, and dude, I've met him so many times, and he was always super humble, super kind, funny as fuck without even trying to be. Like,
right.
You know, we just had that, and you know, I have goosebumps. And when I definitely cried when I heard the news, and but you know, I could tell not so much with Ozzy. I mean, you could see he was not well, but I saw some pictures of Sharon from the event, and I was like, oh God, he's dying. And I just
Yeah.
saw that from her, not even from him. You know what I'm saying? It's weird because that day I was practicing vocals, and you know, I usually sing like 20 songs. I know all Ozzy, I studied Ozzy like deep. You know, I could sing any Sabbath song, man, and with Ozzy. And you know, I studied him deep, and he's such a big part of me. And man, there's no words. I mean, Ozzy's gone. You know, it's like what the, you know.
And I had an idea just like you too, like just everything. And even now I'm thinking of all the different things and it all makes sense. And I said years ago before he was even ever sick, but when, you know, Sharon kept trying to get him to retire, I'm like, man, if he retired, he would probably pass away because he loves the stage and he loves all of it so much, you know? And, you know, it's funny. I went that similar path to you because, you know, I grew up in Jersey. I was born in New York. One day, not in 1980, my dad comes up to me. He goes, "Pack your bags. We're moving to California in 3 days."
Wow.
And so,
where in California did you move to?
LA. So I lived that whole metal scene, the Sunset Strip, Troubadour, Country Club.
Nice.
First club show I ever went to in my life was Motley Crue before they even had an album, when they were like horror punk, and it was at the Roxy, and they were trying to burn the Roxy down to bring Satan in. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to a real concert ever again. That's the greatest thing I ever saw, you know, type of thing.
Right.
And, you know, and then I did go to, what was it? I think it was 82. I'm trying to remember which year, but New Year's Eve, Ozzy played. I think it was the Forum. And I told my dad I was sleeping over my bro's house. He told his parents he was sleeping over my house, you know, the typical thing. And we went to Ozzy's show. It was with Randy Rhoads like a few months before he died. So I got to see Randy. And then weirdest thing happened. We get home and I'm living in like Lake Lindero in Agora, and I'm at the bottom by the lake. So my parents and my dad wouldn't see us and stuff. And my next door neighbor comes out. She sees us with all the Ozzy swag on, and she goes, "Hey, boys, were you just at the Ozzy concert?" And we're like, "Yeah." And we're like, "Oh, fuck, we're in trouble now." And she goes, "Wait there. I'm going to get my husband." And so we're like, "Oh, crap." Husband comes out, brings us up to the house. He had a studio in the house, wall to wall cassette tapes. Turned out he was Ozzy's promoter.
Nice.
Like, it was like wild. And then I had a history class at Agora High that the only project we had to do was an oral report on anything, anybody. And I did mine on Ozzy and got an A. So,
Nice.
Yep, the Ozzy runs deep here too.
Yeah, there's just no words, dude.
I don't even know.
It actually does. I mean, my heart hurts actually, you know what I mean? Because he did so much for me, you know, and so many others. I mean,
everybody,
he was so loved. Like, he was loved, dude, for all his kookiness and all his stuff. Like, he was just accepted and loved. Like, that's a beautiful thing, you know?
Totally. Like, who would ever imagine? Like, even you think about, him even lasted as long as he did, nobody would have ever imagined he lasted as long as he did, that all the shenanigans that he got involved in.
Right.
But I think it
Snorting
is.
ants.
I know, right?
I love the one story where there was protesters at his concert and he was wearing a dress and a wig and he got into the crowd and was protesting with them and shit. Like,
It's so Ozzy too, man.
Man.
Like it's just so amazing. And even right down to the end with the sense of humor, you're talking about how funny he was. Like, I'm sure you saw when Sid proposed to Kelly, but before he got it out of his mouth, Ozzy's like, "You're not fucking marrying my daughter." Like right to the
kid and shit, you know.
Oh man, so wild. But I love your concept of your music and using that ayahuasca journey, because it's kind of like music is the best therapy there is, in my opinion. And so now you're taking everything, to me, that started to heal you and put it into your music so we can all heal too.
That's exactly right, dude.
And I love your philosophy.
These last two records have really hit harder, way harder than our previous things, because everything's a frequency and a vibration, you know, and people don't know exactly why it might be hitting them harder, but it's true. Like my friend calls it medicine music, you know, it's therapeutic. And the way I write shit also for myself is reminders on how to deal with things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm not floating away like Gandhi, and, you know, the staying in the moment thing is practice, just like music, just like yoga, you know what I mean? And some moments are easier than others and so forth. But
well, I'm also a motivational speaker, and I'm a firm believer, like, it's not easy to be positive. Like, you don't just wake up and you're like that. It takes work. It's much easier to be negative, you know, for
I've
sure.
been listening to this dude, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Have you heard of him?
I've heard the name, but I haven't heard his stuff.
Amazing, dude. Like, it's basically rewiring your brain. Like, you know, someone like me who grew up in this verbally abusive, physically abusive, you name it, you know, home as a child, that stuff sticks in your brain, man. Like,
yeah, totally.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I was told bad things about myself as a kid and like believed that stuff. And I remember one time, you know, this therapist was like, you know, that's a lie, right? So
I love that.
She's like, and I remember I went to say something and I cried because no one ever said that to me before. But, you know, yeah, it's rewiring. This dude, Dr. Joe Dispenza, is really great. He talks about, you know, rewiring and the power that we have. And it's funny because all the things he talks about, I discovered on my own in the ayahuasca ceremonies too. You know what I mean? And
nice.
Again, we all know these things, but we just forgot, you know, for the most part. Yeah.
Well, that's what happens. You know, you go through life and all this shit is thrown your way. And you do kind of forget because you get caught in the darkness sometimes.
Right. Yeah. And it's not easy to get out sometimes either, you know?
No, not at all.
People never do, you know, kills them.
Yeah, exactly. Which it's a blessing that you found. I always say to people, find what works for you. Right. You know, like even with my kid, you know, I had this horrific childhood that I gravitated to motivational speakers. Like I was listening to Tony Robbins and reading his books when I was 11 years old, you know, and that was my like way to kind of deal. And then the mosh pit has always been my way of dealing.
Oh yeah, you know? Punk rock was huge. Yeah, for me, punk rock saved my life. Punk rock.
No doubt, man. It's like people don't get it with the mosh pit. It's not about going in to hurt and maim people. It's about going in, getting your shit out so you don't hurt and maim people on the outside.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But then, you know, I remember as a kid, you know, all the I call it jock rock, like some of the hardcore, like, you know, they'd be swinging and stuff and like punching and kicking.
Yeah,
and, like,
no, I'm not into that.
Right. Yeah, no, me neither. But.
Like, I like the circle pit, the camaraderie, the family, somebody falls, you pick them up.
Yeah,
like, and it's just, listen, when I've had shit happen in my life, like really, like deaths and deep shit, I go in the pit and just let it all out there, you know?
Get the angst out. Yep.
No doubt. So you got the album dropping in September, Slay the Dragon.
Yeah.
What else can we expect from that album? You know, Up in Smoke, everybody's got to check out the video. It's cool as hell.
We
What
just
what
shot
else?
2 new videos. We just shot 2 new videos over the weekend in Houston. Man, they were long days too. Those were like 12-hour days, Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
But for the next singles, it's called "Dying for You" is the next single, and the one after that is called "Can You Heal Me." And then there's 12 originals on the new record. There's no covers. We haven't done any covers for this record. But there's some good deep cuts, man. There's one called "Do It" for the song that we added to our set, which is just amazing. And the last 2 records too is our rhythms, have become a niche of our sound. That the drums and the bass, and I'm big on tom drums, man, because like tom drums bring like it has the Indian aspect, and
Yeah.
spiritualness to it and stuff. But man, it's a kick-ass record, and I'm really proud of it. So, and I wrote this one again with Chris Johnson, our producer, who's produced all our records. This is going to be our 6th. And after Todd died, I tried to find a songwriting partner, and that's like trying to find a wife. And whatchamacallit, I just said to Chris, our producer, I was like, why don't we just write the record? I mean, our sound, my voice better than anyone. He helped me develop my voice, basically. So, Chris Johnson wrote the whole letters from the Psych Ward record and this record, Slay the Dragon. Although I did write a few songs with our manager, Paul Crosby, who used to be in Saliva. So
Nice. Yes, I saw about that. That's pretty cool too. And I do love the like Indian drumming type of thing. Always have. Like I remember even when I wasn't supposed to like them, way back in the 80s, I was totally into like Adam and the Ants, not Adam Ant, but Adam and the Ants.
yeah.
And Bow Wow Wow because of that same drum stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah,
like you listen to songs like Dog Eat Dog and Ant Music, the drums in that is just so killer,
Yeah.
So tell everybody how they hit you guys up on socials, on the web. Check out all your new music, check the old stuff out, merch, tour dates, all that stuff.
Yeah, man, we're on everything across the board, all platforms. You can find us on Spotify. We have plenty of killer videos on YouTube, and like I said, this is going to be our 6th record, full length. We have a lot of music out there and a lot of stuff. But I do want to say one thing. With Ozzy dying and all this stuff is like, back in the day, Ozzy gave people like Motley chances, or he brought people on the road that no one heard of, and people did that, what I mean, back in the day. And like I've been saying lately, like I'm sure Steven Tyler and Joe Perry are going to do another Aerosmith tour. It's just going to be inevitable, but like even Angus from AC/DC, or Six from Motley, or Duff and Slash and Axl and Del James, Axl's right hand man, and like please give Blacklist Union a chance and take us on the road, with you guys. And so we can carry the torch of rock and roll. And because there's people that know about us, but there's lots of people that love rock and roll that still don't know about Blacklist Union. You know what I'm saying? So I've been saying to these people, like, please give us a chance. Like, we won't let you down. And, it's not only the music. First of all, you got to have the songs, and you got to have, I always say you got to bring the wow factor, because if you don't have the wow factor, you're wasting your time. And, our live shows are better than the record, and that's what I work my ass off to be a good singer and stay in shape and all that stuff. But look, we're looking for someone to give us a break, whether it's even, the Steel Panther guys or the Buck Cherry guys, or someone that will take us under their wing for a while and let us do direct support for them,
There you go.
And to create another scene, to create some rock and roll for everyone, for the masses. People need rock and roll. I have a 13-year-old daughter, dude, and she'll play me the shit she listens to. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Mia, because the lyrics, I consider myself a wordsmith. I love writing lyrics. It's one of my favorite things. And, these people on so much new stuff, it's like, they say this shit, man, where it's just like, it's about the dope, the bitches, the money, whatever, these negative things, but they flat out say it. And I was telling my daughter, Mia, there's a lot of ways to say those things, but not saying it that way. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So people need rock and roll, man. Look at the whole world's going to be affected by Ozzy dying. You know what I mean? Like, people want and need rock and roll now, especially in the UK and Europe and South America and Australia and stuff. The US is a little behind on that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally.
Rock and roll. Like people skip LA entirely nowadays on their itineraries and stuff. You know, it's just
It's not what it used to be. Not when I was haunting LA.
Yeah.
It's not like that. But I'll tell you what, it's wild too. To your point. So I do festivals all over the US, UK, Europe. Just got back from incarceration. That's why I have no voice. And and one thing I notice over in Europe and the UK is there are bands that I was into in the 80s that I thought were gone. And they weren't gone. They were just over there all this time because the people love music so much. And, you know, the creativity, like, of some of these bands, like, I was instantly thinking of you when you're just talking about, like, I just did Hellfest. And you have these bands like Heilung and, you know, other bands that are like spiritually based, but like have this cultish following over there. And the coolest shit, like that would probably be a good tour for you to get on with Heilung. Check them out if you've never checked them out. They're a trip.
How do you spell that?
Heilung.
Heilung. Okay.
And they put on this show, like, even if you don't like their music, they put on this show that is absolutely insane. And people over there, like, they're like a cultish following for this band, like big time, you know? And I saw it kind of in you because of watching the video and the same type of spiritual thing and with the ayahuasca and all that. Just, it all goes hand in hand. But I also do all the Danny Wimmer festivals. And so I'm going to shout out right now, in case Danny hears it himself, that he's got to check you guys out because he is the guy in the U.S. nowadays that takes bands under his wing. You know, like, it's wild. The festival I just did, which is at Shawshank Prison, a few years back, this band, okay, they did the old school shit. They invaded the festival. They pulled up into the parking lot and started playing. They're called Silly Goose. Wimmer was out there when they were doing it, and they ended up playing the real stage the next day and have played a bunch of the festivals since. So I'm just putting that out there in the universe for you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
You got it. Any other last words you want to share with the listeners that we haven't covered already?
Well, I mean, if you haven't heard Blacklist Union, check us out. If you love rock and roll, I always say we have a money back guarantee if you buy our record. If you love rock and roll, you buy our record and you hate it, money back guarantee. You know what I mean?
And I bet you never have to do that because people
I haven't had
love
to do it yet, no, but there's always one guy, you know.
Right? But yeah, I'm looking forward to all the new music and everything you're doing. I'm glad you're on this journey because I think the whole world needs this journey right now.
They really do. Yeah, I always say, I don't know if you've noticed, but the world's gone batshit crazy.
Oh, listen, from traveling to outside the country, you just realize how crazy shit is too. You know,
it's funny because going to Peru, I remember the first time I was there, and like we were in these villages. I mean, to get to the jungle is like a whole journey in itself. But these villages where I'm like, you know, these people have nothing. Like, they have no windows where the windows go. There's no glass. There's no doors. And at first I was like, these people have nothing, but they have everything because what they have is family and community and love, and they take care of each other, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, wow.
Oh, I totally know because I go to Costa Rica all the time surfing, and I go like way off the beaten path, you know, and the people, like, they have nothing, like you're saying. A Tico house is basically got, it's like you're camping, you know, and they're always happy.
Right.
And they're always doing stuff with family. And I saw that in Bali too. Same thing. It's like, and
we got it wrong here in the US, man.
Oh,
you know, like,
I'm telling you,
caught up trying to survive and pay these crazy bills and all this stuff, the rents and the groceries and the gas and all the nuttiness, you know, and those people got it going on. They hardly have any possessions. They don't even need them. They don't care. You know what I mean?
No. And, you know, the whole disappearing, like, I always thought, you know, man, I love New York and the energy and the fast pace and blah, 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 until I went to Costa Rica. and like you're sitting there with the whole town walking to the beach 2 hours before sunset just to experience the sunset. That's it.
Yeah, see, we all lost that. Like we lost that shit here in the U.S.
No doubt, 100%.
Do you live in New York now?
No, I live in South Florida where it's really fucking crazy.
What part?
I'm in near West Palm Beach. I live on this island called Singer Island, so I'm kind of separated from the crazies. But literally, my studio's in Wellington, so I have to drive by Mar-a-Lago to get to my studio.
Yeah.
And there's so many people I know that they need a ayahuasca ceremony because they are batshit crazy right now, man.
Yeah. You know, they do them in Costa Rica.
I know. Well, that's what I was going to mention earlier, but I'm drawing a blank. There's this band. I'll know it as soon as I, like hang on. There's this band I've interviewed a couple times. I've gotten friendly with them. He owns a ayahuasca like thing in Costa Rica. Costa Rica.
Oh, please let me know. Yeah.
I'm going to look it up when I remember, and then I'll email you his info because if nothing else, good to connect with too, and maybe you guys can tour together since you're on that same journey. You know
who's into it too. I went to see the Cult a couple years ago, and Ian Astbury is a huge influence on me, especially as a kid. And he's always had that Indian spiritual kind of flair thing,
right?
But I saw them play at the Greek Theater like 2 or 3 years ago, and he, in between songs, said, "I want to thank Mother Ayahuasca." I was like, "What the hell?"
Whoa!
Yeah, so he's hip to it. People are hip to it, and especially as an artist, like, do yourself a favor and do it, man, because it's so healing. And we're like instruments, we have to stay in tune. And I always say, like a drain, for instance, if a drain is clogged with like hair and all this shit, the water stops flowing, right? So if we're clogged up as humans with sorrow and pain and regret and remorse and resentment and all these things, we can't be a proper flow of energy, because a true artist will tell you, it ain't about me, man. I'm just a channel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But how the hell am I going to be a channel if I'm clogged up with all this pain, dude?
No doubt.
You can't be. And then, that's a whole rabbit hole, but then people take meds or whatever. Like that's a whole thing, but I don't fuck with anything. But
I'd rather do stuff like ayahuasca than any big pharma shit any day.
Yeah, fuck that. I always say, and this is from my experience, I know people need it, and I'm not a doctor by any means, never played one on TV either. But my experience has been that the pharmaceuticals are worse than street drugs, dude. And that's
no doubt.
Because street drugs, at least you in a 2 weeks, say, or maybe if you had a physical addiction or the depression that comes with the kicks and all that, 2 weeks you're out of the woods. With the med thing, 6 to 9 months of losing your mind.
Yeah.
And that shit happened to me twice, and I'll never ever ever do anything like that again.
No doubt. And it's like so they keep legalizing marijuana everywhere, but they're doing the same thing. They're taking this organic stuff and making it mad science, like man-made science. The shit's stronger. There's more ways to do it. And then you see people.
All this shit. Yeah.
It's just like they're just zoned out of their mind, and it's not better. Now that they have control over it, that to your point.
Yeah. I know. It's really nuts, dude.
Well, thank God we got people like you and artists like you, so you could be, a voice for all the rest of us. And I thank you for that. And thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey everybody, this is Gene Hoglan from Dark Angel, and you are listening to Pipeman on W4CY Radio. Crank it up.
Bourbon and Beyond, the world's largest bourbon, food, and music festival returns with Fish, Noah Khan, Sturgill Simpson, The Lumineers, Plus Jack White, Vincent Boone, Krungman, Alabama Shakes, Cage the Elephant, Ringo Starr, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, Goo Goo Dolls, and many more. Bourbon and Beyond returns to Louisville September 11 to 14. Passes are on sale now at bourbonandbeyond.com.
Hi everybody, this is Richie Faulkner from Judas Priest. You're listening to the Pipeman on W4CY Radio. Keep it real.
Aftershock Festival returns to Sacramento for its biggest year yet with Blink-182, Deftones, Korn, Bring Me the Horizon, plus A Perfect Circle, Bad Omens, Rob Zombie, Good Charlotte, Turnstile, Gojira, Marilyn Manson, Knocked Loose, 3 Days Grace, and so many more. Aftershock, October 2nd to 5th at Discovery Park in Sacramento. Passes are on sale now at AftershockFestival.com.
Hey, this is Joey Vera from Armored Saint, and you are listening to Pipeman on W4CY.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures Pipeman W4CY Radio, and we have somebody really cool for our next guest with some great new music that I love what it's about. So let's welcome to the show, Doll. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. First, before we get into a new song, I just want to say your cover that you did of Smoke on the Water is absolutely killer. I kind of got like a doom metal vibe.
Yeah, it is. There is a bit of doom metal, definitely down-tuned quite a bit. I think it's down-tuned to like C, a drop C. Yeah, no, absolutely. A bit of a doom vibe for sure. Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool. But shark bait. Now, you know what I love about that? Okay, so I love the movie Jaws, as I know you guys do. So I have a trivia question for you. Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
And I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
I'm from New Jersey originally.
Okay.
Okay. So that movie is not based on Long Island. Do you know what it's based on?
Yeah, I heard that I think it was filmed in Jersey, right?
Well, it wasn't that it was filmed in Jersey. It's actually a true story that they made fiction. Okay. It's not about a great white. It's actually about a bull shark.
Right.
And it was a bull shark that attacked a family in the Manasquan River, not even in the ocean, in New Jersey.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I guess, right? It's the ocean. It gets. we were swimming up in the lake in over here in Canada, Ontario, and there was like big snakes, black snakes in the water, like this.
Whoa.
These big black cobra snakes. And the first time I saw this, I was like, oh my God. We're out there on a paddleboard. I was like, ah. Yeah. So
yeah, you know what? Speaking of paddleboards, last week I was paddleboarding right where I live. And sometimes what I'll do to escape the world, especially after, I go on tour and I do coverage at music festivals. So I like to come home and just go out in the middle of the ocean and just chill away from the whole world, And so I paddled out real deep on the horizon. I just was hanging out on the board, just sitting there. And I looked down and there were like 5 bull sharks that swam right under me. And I was like, okay, maybe it's time to go in now. But they didn't even notice me. It was like they just swam right under me.
Wow. I didn't know that there was that many over there. You wouldn't expect that, right?
Well, I live in Florida now, and we have more shark attacks than anywhere in the world. It's known for that. Like there's up north of me, New Smyrna Beach is known as like the most shark attacks anywhere in the world on the regular.
Wow. And it's probably crocodile too. When we were in Florida, I was like crocs everywhere.
Yeah. Well, you probably saw the alligators.
Yeah.
There are crocs too, but they're in like south. But yeah, But the alligators are kind of chill. Like when you're not from an alligator area, like I wasn't when I moved here, it kind of freaks you out. But now I know I could just walk right by them and they don't even acknowledge you're there.
Okay.
You know?
Interesting. Yeah, no, for sure. As someone from Canada, then you don't see that every day.
No. But in the same token, I'm not running into a Kodiak bear either, or a big brown bear or anything like that. So, you know, it's funny how that works. Like when I was in Jersey, I hate it. When I came here, I was like, oh my God, alligators. But now that I'm here, I'm like, well, there were a lot more wild animals up there that I was worried about too. So it just doesn't matter where you are.
There's wildlife everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. And hopefully we keep it that way, to be honest. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about this new single, Shark Bait, and why you guys are so into Jaws that you made a song that references that story.
Yeah, no, obviously big fans of the movie, and it's cool. It's the 50th anniversary this summer. It coincides really well. You know, we just kind of started off with like a fun kind of hardcore type of riff. You know, like we love a lot of the new bands coming out, like Scowl and what Emil and the Sniffers and Gel and things like that. So and then I don't know, like it just all came together very quickly, and it was like wanted to do something catchy and quick with the chorus. And it was Shark Bait, and we're like, let's just go with this theme and make it super fun and funny. And when we've got a music video coming out for it, and it's probably the dumbest music video that
but those are usually the best ones. I mean, come on.
The best ones, like homemade, just ridiculousness. Like we got playing with sharks and Barbie dolls and stuff, and it's just ridiculous. So it kind of embodies the song. It's just fun.
I love that. But I also love, like, there's also another take on it. Like with everything going on in the world the way it is right now, it's very appropriate because we are definitely swimming in a world of sharks right now.
Yeah.
So I like it all kind of comes together. It would be kind of cool maybe if you went out for the next video paddleboarding and encountered a shark.
Yeah, that would be something. Have to take it to the ocean, right? Like here where we are very kind of central, so we just have lakes and stuff, and the most that we see is big snakes. But yeah, that would be something.
I would probably freak out more about the snakes than sharks, man, because like I would see that thing, I'd be like, oh crap. And they're really fast in the water.
They were faster than we were. Like they just like zip by us. We're like, oh, okay, that is okay. All right.
So I was paddleboarding up near Orlando area, and I was with my daughter and her husband, and they were way behind me. And then all of a sudden I saw something. I'm like, hey, guys, don't get too far from me. There was an otter chasing me.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too bad. I could deal with that.
It was pretty cool, to be honest. And ignorance is bliss, because after it happened, I'm like Googling. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm pretty lucky, because apparently they're very territorial, and they will come and like knock you off your paddleboard, and they can be very vicious.
Really? I had no clue.
This one was just cruising like this, and like just pass right by me, flying by me. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they're extremely fast, and you see them at the zoos all the time, and you're like, oh, these are so cute. I never knew that they could get aggressive, because they don't put out that vibe at the zoo.
Yeah, wild animals. You never know. I'm looking at it thinking, oh, how cute.
Yeah.
So what, you also have the album dropping did in 2 days.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So tell us about the rest of the album or EP.
Yeah, so 6 songs coming out on Friday. It's going to be everywhere, like on Spotify and all that stuff. And it is a little bit, again, like we have been together as a band for quite some time, and we, we're in a little bit of a hiatus. And the rest of the songs, again, like I myself, I love a wide range of music, right? Like I like your hardcore, your doom, your punk, your pop, whatever, right? I just pretty much like it all. And this song, hopefully folks, we hope people like it. There's, a song that's a little bit more a little bit more on the hard rock side. We've got, Shark Bait that's a little bit more hardcore, Smoke on the Water that's a little bit more doom. Got some stuff that's a little bit more shoegaze, and then, maybe one or two kind of like slower indie rock, alt rock kind of ballads. So it's a little bit, it's definitely not all just one genre. And
I love that.
People like it. Yeah.
I love that because, so first of all, I hate the whole genre thing. As a metalhead and punk from way back, it's like before it was just metal or punk or just rock, and now it's like it's almost like every band has to have its own genre. There's so many subgenres and microgenres, and then you have to be stuck to this like formula for whatever it is. And I think that's bullshit for an artist. Like, to me, an artist is going to express themselves any way that it feels, not because it has to be to a genre. And I think especially nowadays, like so many artists do sound the same because of that, they use this like equation to make music, that I love artists like you that just take a mishmash of everything and just do what they feel.
Exactly, right. And that's kind of what we did with our first two albums as well, right? Like we were never really fit in a category, right? Like we've played with, Hailstorm, and we've played with Jenny Torturers, and we've played with Lacuna Coil, and then we played with like, Spinneret. Like it was all over the place. People never knew like, what kind of band are you, right? So we're
I love it though.
At least we don't have to be like, all right, well, or just like punk rock band, like you're right, like we can kind of go anywhere because people expect that from us. We're hard to kind of pinpoint.
Well, makes you stick out too, like because you don't have uniqueness otherwise nowadays. There's like so many bands that you're lost in the sea unless you're unique.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it must be kind of boring, right? Like I can't imagine, you're in a, I don't know, thrash metal band, and it's like, you gotta. This is what your fans expect from you, and every album's trying to make it fresh and keeping it's difficult. And then whenever you get out of that mold, right, where some bands have tried to do that, the fans are like, oh my god, right?
Well, I was guilty of that a long time ago till I got smart. Like, when you're younger, you're stupid, gatekeeper. And it's funny you mentioned thrash because I'm an old school thrash metalhead. So perfect example. I saw Metallica's first show ever. So when Black Album came out, I'm like, fuck you, posers. Yeah. Like, you sellouts. But now they're still my favorite band. And like, as you get a little older, you start to realize, as an artist, it would be kind of boring, to stay a garage band, number one. And don't you want to get better at your craft? Like, Hetfield talks about how the San Jose Sharks use Seek and Destroy as a theme song, but they use the original version. And he's like, why did I use that version? My voice sucked then. I'm a much better singer now, and we have a newer version they could use. And like, I can see that. Like, why would you want to stay a beginner or an amateur, or as you grow through the years, you're going to get better at the craft. And like Ollie from Bring Me the Horizon said in an interview when they were giving him so much crap about how much they were changing their music, he's like, why do I want to write the same song over and over again?
And then when you look back on it, you're like, oh my god, like that's that's the spirit is obviously different album, but it's great, and it's melodic, and you could see the evolution, right? Okay, wow, there's clean vocals now, and there's this, right? So I think it always shocks folks a little bit at the beginning, but then give it 5-10 years and like, oh yeah, the Black Album is a great album, right?
Right, exactly. And when you think about it, it's like, well, it was definitely much better musicianship and much better songwriting and stuff like that, but when you're that loyal fan from the beginning, it's like we have a hard time letting you grow. It's kind of like parents trying to let their kids grow up.
Yeah. As individuals too, like we all our musical tastes evolved too, right? Like I still
Yeah.
love a lot of the stuff that I liked when I was a kid. Like I was a big fan of the Riot Girls, and I still love L7 and Lunatics and all those bands too. But you can't again, like my kids are big into K-pop now. I don't mind K-pop, right?
Right.
So you kind of like, all right, well, we keep listening to a lot of this stuff, and you kind of start expanding your horizons a little bit as well.
Totally, 100%. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners about your music or anything you got coming up in 2025?
Yeah, no, we're just again very excited to be releasing the EP finally on Friday. Follow us on. You'll be able to listen to it on Spotify or all the platforms that you usually go to, and then keep an eye out for our very silly music video Shark Bait. I hope you like it, and just looking forward to people to hearing it and commenting and letting us know what they think.
Nice. And how do they connect to you guys on the web, on socials, and all that stuff?
Yeah, we're everywhere, right? Like we're on Facebook, Instagram, all Bandcamp, all that good stuff, YouTube.
It's so hard to be a band nowadays. Like in the old days, it was like you didn't have to do all that work.
Yeah. Now you got to be everywhere, right? And then we're like, should we be on TikTok? Nah, I don't know. I don't think so.
I think you should start maybe with this new video because silly stuff works on TikTok.
Yeah, maybe we'll do the shark dance.
Yeah, exactly. You could start a whole trend. Look at that.
Shark dance. There we go. It was really popular for baby sharks, or who knows?
Yeah, see, it could happen. And look at what happened. Speaking of Bring Me Horizon, look at what happened. Can You Feel My Heart? Like, what was it? 5 years later, all of a sudden it's trending on TikTok. So you just never know.
Yeah, same. Fleetwood Mac, right? They had the big resurgence as well, just because of that. Yeah, it's funny.
No doubt. Well, you guys rock, and everybody needs to check out the new songs and the new EP in 2 days. Better Days, Different Times. And thanks a lot for giving us great music, and thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.